Alright, so first thing I do is grab the launchpad upgrade and fill out the tech tree with the science that I have. Nice to have fuel lines. Picked up a couple of contracts, already had a satellite in orbit, so transmitting science was easy. I don't think I got footage of sending science from the moon lander, but did that too. And grab some more contracts here. Time to fill out the tech tree before heading to Duna, so putting around the KSC here quite a bit off to the space plane hangar. I cannot say that to save my life. And then the main building is actually a separate biome. Over to administration. Thought maybe the main building might be a separate biome, but not in this case. Headed over to the VAB. And the main building is a separate biome. And over to the tracking station. Science, science, science! Thought maybe the dish was a separate biome, but not yet. Gotta upgrade it first. However, the hub is. Got a little stuck here. Had to recover the vessel. That's okay. Let's fill out the tech tree and head back out again. This time over to... Oh wait, this is administration. I was at the Astronaut complex. No, this... Wait. Well, another biome. And then the flagpole. Over to R&D. Trying to figure out which one of these was the corner building. And realized it was the one in the corner. Yeah. That's pretty much gonna do it for science at KSC for now, I think. I lied. Well, this is the shores biome. Heading over to the grasslands. And Now heading over to the water. Getting some splashdown science. And continuing to fill out the tech tree. Took a couple of contracts, one to explore the moon. So headed out to the moon. First stage gone. Coasting to apoapsis. And doing some final circularization. Headed towards the moon. Picking up some science on the way. And nice intercept at the moon. More science to grab. Prepping for a burn to get to orbit the moon. And completing the stack contract here, I think, before heading in for a landing. Wanting to come in on the light side, go ahead and just burn all the way down to the surface on the dark side. Grabbing some science as I come in for a moon landing. And tons of delta V left. And touchdown on the moon. And taking off and orbiting the moon. Burning to get captured at Kerbal. And lowering my periapsis to aero capture levels. Using up all the fuel I had and ditching the stage. Remembering to retract the antenna there. Getting a little wobbly there with the controls. But For the second time, I come down in over the mountains. No extra science to get here other than the EVA report. But that's okay. Nice chunk of science and some world first contracts. Almost done with the tech tree up to what I can before researching or upgrading the research and development. I was thinking of going to Moho, but that didn't work out. Tried several times to get a probe on Moho and that didn't work. Here I am just completing some contracts at the launchpad. Screwed up that first time there. And this is a different version of my roller. This one completing contract with the stack separator. I thought that was kind of funny, so I left it in. I imagine yakety sax playing. I promise I will get better at editing videos and adding commentary. I pale in comparison to Scott Manley and Marcus House, Mark Trim, even Fifth Horseman. Alright, headed to Minmus this time. And since it's Minmus and I had built this for the moon, I'll go ahead and add some more weight to it. Why not? Science! Here I headed out. You know what I really liked about this challenge is that it really forced me to use basic skills and fly every craft, and without conics, man, things are really tough. As you will see here when I head to Duna later. Alright, coming around to apoapsis so I can circularize this moon lander. Wasn't perfect, but hey, don't need perfect for the moon transfer. Eyeballing it here, coming around, got the moon in my sights, and burning prograde. That should do. It's going to be really nice to have EVAs later. Kind of got to pick and choose what science to take. Coming in to burn to orbit Minmus. And since I'm on the dark side anyway, I might as well burn down and go ahead and land. This is Minmus anyway. I didn't quite get where I wanted there, so I come around to the other side so that it got some sunlight. There we go. went ahead and burned a little normal there so I could get down in this flat patch. I kind of had to play around with it once I got lower so that I could actually get there. I was shooting for that flat patch ahead of there, so kind of had to go up a little bit to come back down. There we go. This'll work. And coming in for a nice touchdown on Minmus. We're gonna have more science than we know what to do with now. Time to head back to Kerbin. Alright, orbiting Minmus and setting up for the escape burn. And we're out of here. I guess I must have paused the game and forgot to edit that part out. Alright, we got an orbit around Kerbin. Go ahead and burn down to get our periapsis to aero capture levels. Pretty much a copy of the previous mission to the moon. Once we get the flames around the side of the ship, we'll go ahead and lose all the fuel, burn as much, all of it away. Since I have quite a bit, I'm trying to actually get close to the KSC. I don't often try to shoot for a landing near the Space Center, but I might as well go for it here. I realize I'm coming in a little too hot, but got a little bit more fuel left. Burned it right there. Let the stage go. Pop the chute, and it's within sight. Nice. And more science than I can use. Alright, time to head to Duna. And after reading quite a bit on the forums and much trial and error, this is my Duna lander. The top stage should have enough delta V once put into Duna's atmosphere and slowing down. With the parachutes, should have enough to land and get back into orbit and return to Kerbin. Should being the operative word there. The skipper here with this payload is is nice. I can dial in the orbit pretty well. Just a little off here, but that's fine. Alright, now I need something to push the lander, so here's the pusher. So we're 7,000 delta V in that top stage. And with the docking port junior on the top there, I should be able to connect it to the lander. And there goes the solid rocket boosters. Yeah, I did try to get to Moho first, just to land a probe on it, and that did not go well after much effort. So we abandoned that, and we are headed to Duna. I need some unlocks. Alright, so I had waited till the lander was almost directly above. Here I am trying to judge a rendezvous. I thought I could get it here, but I didn't quite make it, so quite a lot of playing around here to finally get a close approach. Well, to at least to get to where I could actually target it. This also was something I'd never done before, trying to rendezvous two vehicles without conics. So this was a challenge, and now that I can do this, I'm pretty confident. Of course, what you see here in the final video is the result of quite a few attempts. Oh, there I was correcting the tilt. I realized after a couple of tries that I was really screwing up because I was off by more than a degree. So the lander's so far ahead, I burned out so that I could match up here. And realizing that I couldn't warp fast enough, I went into the tracking station so that I could get the placements where I want them to be. So I think I tried a little bit too early here to match. And realizing that, then I lowered the orbit on the other side so that I could catch up. And now I'm down to a lower orbit instead of a higher orbit, and racing around again. I did this all several months ahead of the Duna window so that I could make sure that I could actually pull this off. So now that I'm this close, I can actually target the lander and just brute force it. So that's pretty much what I did here. Better burn time helps out by giving you a little indicator when you actually, right there, see when you're actually going to get an intercept. So that helps out quite a bit here too. So that you know not to screw with things until you get to that close approach that it's telling you. Also, when I tried, this is the, I think, third incarnation of the pusher. I didn't have RCS the first time. And while I was able to actually dock these vessels without RCS, it was very much more frustrating and much more costly. So yes, RCS here was truly helpful as I get within 30 meters or so, 20, and then Trying to line things up a bit here. Realizing that I forgot that when you undock it, gives a little push, so, but that's okay. That helped me kind of line up a little bit better here. And I realized that I put the RCS thrusters in a way that didn't allow me 100% control, so I have to rotate the vessel in order to essentially get the thrust in the right direction where I want it. But I was able to dock these two vessels no problem. So I've also, the first time I tried to take off with this thing, I didn't have the staging correct. So here I am fixing all of that because the sparks were activated and were basically burning out the probe core below it, and yeah, that wasn't fun. But here I am making sure everything's ready for the Duna trip. And time warping ahead. Kerbal alarm clock here will stop the time for me. However, the actual node that's not a node that Transfer Window Planner puts here for you was a couple of days out, so I had to continue to warp ahead. Now I'm where I need to be and showing the ejection angle so that I know right when to burn out on prograde. There we go. We are headed to Duna. Dropping the stage. So we are out of the sphere of influence of Kerbin, and we are short. So gonna need to go ahead and burn out. Yeah, I figured out through trial and error here too that I was reaching Duna early, so I burned radial there so that I could actually get the timing right. And slow down, slow down. Finally got a Duna capture. Dropping the stage stairwell. We are getting to within 3 million kilometers inside of Ike's orbit. Now we're going opposite of Ike, but that's okay. It's not. It's only like 100 or so meters per second or so that the difference when you're going backwards around Ike. I should be able to. I've compensated for that, I think. So now that we're in Ike's sphere of influence, we're gonna go ahead and burn down so that we can orbit. And going around so I can burn down to the sunny side, or well, the relative sunny side in this case. Headed in for a landing. So we're a little tall on this crap, but fortunately Ike's gravity is really low, and I can stand this thing on end, no problem. So we got an unlock. Head back, and we're gonna take the astronaut complex so that we can go ahead and get EVAs, so Jeb can finally leave his capsule. Alright, we're picking up science so that we can actually get more science. And planting a flag, grabbing EVA. And getting back inside. Thank you, Ike. It was a pleasure. Looks like I might have missed some science here. Ran out of fuel, so had to go ahead and undock and activate the spark engines. Thought I had enough Delta V to leave Ike, but evidently not. I was looking at the wrong. I was looking at the other the stages vector instead. So anyway, I had to burn so that I could get up around Ike and then back out again, so that I could orbit Duna and burn down at Aptoapsis so I could get a periapsis within the atmosphere. So this is the first of many passes. I went ahead and grabbed every EVA I could while I could. Jeb's getting a workout. This is all going to be nice once I get back to Kerbin. Coming back in for another pass. Think there were 6 or 7 passes before I was able to actually finally get down to the surface. Pass number 3. Every time I EVA, I gotta remember to hit SAS and hit the prograde or retrograde marker. Pass number 4. Down to within about a 500,000 kilometers. Pass number 5. Pass number 6. And I believe this is the final pass. And finally down to where I'm going to land. Oh, I guess there was technically one more pass, so there were eight passes. I was trying to make sure that I was coming down on the light side. Power generation was a issue at a few points here. Drogue and the main chute open, grabbing an EVA and more science. Coming down for a landing. Gonna go ahead with the suicide burn right at the end because I want to save as much Delta V and pop in the decoupler so that I can get rid of weight. Alright, Jeb landed. Go ahead. The obligatory flag planting. It's going to be a long wait, Jeb. back out. I have to say this was probably the best Duna ascent I've ever done. Except for that little screw up right there. But anyway, I have been notoriously bad in escaping from this planet, but I think it was because of thrust to weight ratio in previous versions of crafts, so I was not planning appropriately. But anyway, here I am getting nearly a perfect 50-kilometer orbit and planning ahead for future missions. I did not realize that the Moho window was so close. I might try to go ahead and do a manned landing.